just get your mind together and come on across.
For some reason, I felt like watching this video. I watched it before, so I just watched part of it and then I felt like turning it off again. And I just played my last video back, which is number 10, and number 9 and number 10, which talked about the farm, how these people were guided to come out of society, exodus out of organisational hell, and find a farm, buy it together, work to make some money, buy it together, and then go and live on it together, and create a natural civil society, divine civil society, again from nothing, outside of the system. Almost like a separate country, if you like. And this movie here is about the opposite of that, which is to go to war, okay, and fight in the war, and then to come back again. And so if you want to know about the hells of war, this is a pretty good movie that shows you the sort of hellish place that man gets to when he ends up in this kind of war. And they said that this was a civil war, but this was not really a civil war. This was a war between two different nations. There was the nations of the south and the nations of the north. And what the nations of the south wanted to do, they wanted to break with the agreement to do everything the same, to be part of the United States. They wanted to be their own separate United States as a separate country. And this video shows the north breaking through into the south and destroying the southern nation, if you like. And so it was really the same sort of thing as if your wife, let's say you abused your wife, and your wife said, "I'm leaving you now, I'm not going to take this beating anymore." And she walked out the door, and you grabbed her by the scruff of her neck and you dragged her inside, and you chained her to the table and said, "You will work or you won't eat." That's basically what happened in this war. So watch it, it will show you. And how, at the end of the war, the organisationalists took over as complete evil. And so you can see in this movie how the individualists versus the organisationalists. This is an amazing movie that shows the difference between the two, how one is good and the other is evil. Okay, I suggest you watch this movie, it's very important. Okay, I'll take 5. Now, at the time of the 60s revolution, people were also called to come out of the organisational greed cult and enter the new evolving natural order. And one of the primary calls was by Allen Ginsberg, the Fugs, and Timothy Leary, of course, coined the phrase, "turn on, tune in, drop out." That means exodus, leave. And the people who left, they formed the farm, and they had that good experience where instead of having their children abused at the hands of the medical system, they were able to have their children in natural childbirth on the farm. And a lot of single pregnant mothers, young pregnant mothers, joined the farm to have their children because they didn't want to go through the rigours of the medical system. Those people who wouldn't join with the revolution, nature takes them on a different course. Nature gives them into the hands of the devil. And the hands of the devil then shipped them off to Vietnam. And they all had these terrible experiences in Vietnam and came back broken human beings. And so you either were part of the problem, which got you in Vietnam, or you're part of the solution, which got you to the farm. Okay. Now, that's happening right now. The Vietnam War is going on in the Ukraine now. The Vietnam War was a war against China. This is now a war against Russia. And so it's necessary to choose correctly, because we won't be able to help ourselves. We'll just end up in the opposite place. Nature will put us into the hands of the devil. And the devil's job is simply to show us that we made a mistake, and to teach us by blood and sweat of our brow that we cannot do that and get away with it. And those people who nature took to the farm, those people ended up learning by experience, by working with their hands. They had a garage there, people could work on cars and stuff and recycle stuff. They built their own houses in all sorts of different ways. And a group of them get together, build one house, build another one. They built loads of stuff, if you ever look. And they didn't obey any building codes or any rules or regulations. They just got on with the job and got on with it as much as they possibly could. They defied the organisational aspects of the system, which is evil. It's evil. How dare somebody tell a man how he might organise his own house? My God, you know. Yeah, okay. If I built something that was diabolical, made a mess of the place, I would expect some knight to come up and say, "Don't do that, boy. You're messing up. You're harming something," and point to the thing I'm harming. But that's not how organisational bureaucracy works. Organisational bureaucracy says, you just can't even start. You're not allowed. You know, instead of a house costing you a few £100s, because that's all a house costs to build, a few £100s, you have to spend £300,000, which of course nobody has, so it's just like stupid. You know what I mean? It's stupid. The whole system is stupid. And it's stupid money now that they want for everything. It's stupid money. You know, they're building like really basic little electric cars, and they want £40,000 for these. It's a Citroen 2CV with an electric engine and a fiberglass back. Well, it shouldn't be more than about one technology. 5,000 should be enough, yeah? £5,000. If a car costs more than £5,000, we're going nowhere. We're going nowhere, really. And if it's made out of junk, which this is, it'll probably rust in 3 years, you know. Some little company in England trying to make money in this way, you know. I said you know what I'm talking about. Things need to be done properly. Now, there is another question, that is, would we have computers, solar panels, electric drills, would we have these things if we lived in a natural organisation? If nature organises, would we have these things? And I'm here to tell you that nobody can tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. I can't say you can't have that, you can't have that. I can say you can't do that because it's harming something. And you can say, okay, well, I'll change what I'm doing. Here, is that harming anything? And if I had to look and say, no, that's not harming anything. Yeah. As long as what you're doing is not leaving a mess, not creating a problem, not causing work for future generations, not killing animals, not harming nature. Yeah. Now you can't dig a hole without harming nature, but you can make a useful hole. So that's really the example it is. And so, and you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't say, you will do this. Now, ask yourself a question. If you ask people whether they would make computers, for example, do you want to make computers? Maybe there are people out there who want to make computers. If there are, computers will be made. If nobody wants to make computers, that's the end of them. They will be gone. If there are people who want to pick up nuclear waste and with the danger of the hazard to their own bodies, if there are people who want to do that, they're called to do it, yeah, great, I want to deal with this nuclear waste, then we'll have nuclear power station, we'll have nuclear waste. But you can't say you will deal with nuclear waste. And if no man wants to do it, that's the end of it. It's not going to be done anymore. You can't force people to do stuff that they don't want to do. Like you can't force people to drive tractors in the rain. And so by not forcing people to do stuff, see, that's what organisationists do. They force people to do what they don't want to do. If you stop doing that, then you'll find out what we have. Okay. Now, I do know that I have solar panels, yet do I have solar panels because of the other stuff that I have? We don't know yet. We just don't know. Will there be people who want to make solar panels so that they can mess around with that stuff? Probably. Will there be people who want to make semiconductors? How will semiconductors get made without organisation? We don't know. There might be enough semiconductors already built in the universe to last the human race for eternity if we recycle them all, take them off the circuit boards and rewire them. I don't know. Find out what people do. What's easiest? Yeah. Nature always says, what's easiest? What uses up the stuff that we've already got? What recycles stuff? And we'll do that. And when we run out of that, we'll do something else. So you feel like doing something else. And so what nature does after humanity turns around and goes in the right direction is it rebuilds the spoilt places. And so in the I Ching, there's a special card which comes after you become the wanderer. After you become the wanderer, it's necessary to become the wanderer. The whole of humanity has become the wanderer now. It doesn't know where it's going. It's just wandering around in its own mind, trying to find a way. Yeah? Now, what happens is you find yourself suddenly in the place where you belong. Okay, so I'm sitting here, this is where I belong, or I'm in my boat, I'm sitting in my boat, this is where I belong, right? You found yourself in the place where you belong. Then what you do is, the next card in sequence is work on what has been spoiled. That's what you do. You don't think about how can I become superstar or something like that. No, you find some dishes and wash them. When you wash them and you notice there's a sort of defect in the paintwork around the kitchen, you go and get the bit of paint and you just paint over it, yeah? Just a little bit, you don't have to paint the whole kitchen, just a little bit, put it away. Then you notice something else. Oh, the light's not working, fix that. That's what you do when you find yourself in the place where you belong. So that's a sequence of the I Ching. First the wanderer, that's a wanderer, hexagram for the wanderer. Then the hexagram for the place where you belong, I think. It's a long time since I messed with, but that's what it means. And then the next one is work on what has been spoiled. I'm going to check that card because I didn't need to know that. There you go. I didn't have a title for this video, and now I've got one. What's interesting is this word ku. Now, in the universal language, ku means bad fruit, and ka means ordinary fruit, and ko, with the O, means the highest fruit. That's universal language. In the Jewish Hebrew, there were no vowels. There was only consonants, and they could understand what they were saying. So the vowel just adds a flavour to it. Okay. So ku is the name of this card somehow, and obviously they're not called that normally. And I said the card is work on what has been spoiled. That is my own writing because that's what it's normally called. And this one was called arresting decay. Arresting decay. That's not what it's. And here it says working. I don't know, working. A new beginning follows every ending. That's what part of it. When one follows others with pleasure, there are sure to be undertakings. When one follows others with pleasure, there are sure to be undertakings. Work on what has been spoiled. I'll leave you with that. The I Ching is a wonderful journey. It's a sequence of cards that covers every movement of the human condition through its various phases, just like it might be the rising and the setting of the sun, or the rotation of the solar system. Human lives have beginnings and ends, and cycles and stages that they go through, and each card in the I Ching deck is a stage of life that human beings, part of the human condition. I hope you study this in depth, because it's very, very important information here. This was the book that they used to teach kings in the old days how to be good and manage their kingdom. It's a training manual for divines. Thank you for watching.
If you can just get your